I'm a little bit late on the startup here, so I might not go through the factions as in depth as I usually do. Yeah, really, I'm quite late. But let me at least like try to like think through what sort of strategy I should want to be using this matchup. Let's just really quick check that. So we had community vote on who plays what faction again, and yep, Vexer is playing Wayfarers. And so you can hold me to this. I'll say I think Wayfarers are favored in this matchup. And fast forward to the end of the video at the faction analysis, matchup analysis part, and you'll hear Vexers like completely contradict what I say about this matchup. And you know that's the way of it. That's the skill issue. Wayfarers just go really fast. Just go really fast. Get to the opponent's side. Get a lot of benefit when they get to the opponent's side. They have ways of moving post-attack phase, like gem dancers can grab spots against the gate, and this is just really dangerous for Savannah elves, which Savannah elves, which don't have any interesting movement tech. Like they don't have like if they're in a corner, they don't really have any way to move and get like if they're trapped, they're trapped. That is just a way to beat Savannah elves if you trap a Bua. Now they win on raw firing power, but it's a little bit tough to keep Celeste out of your side. And if Celeste just gets in there too strong, it can like she can really just capitalize on you not being able to like reclaim that gate spot once she's taken it. Really the only post attack phase move that we have is midi Kairu. So our game plan, and we try to like think of a few ways in which I'm going to try to implement this game plan. But our game plan is going to be to survive. We're gonna survive by discarding heavy for one. We're gonna discard heavy so we always have units to play. If they wipe my units on a turn, if they ever wipe my units on a turn, and I don't have at least 2 units to play, we will just lose the game. You can just lose the game if you have a bad turn against an aggro faction. You don't get to play units. So we always have to have like magic to play units. Seems like Chant of Weaving could get us out of a pinch. Did I finish the thought? Mini Kyber is the only unit in this deck that can do post attack phase moves. Let's think about the commons. Like we win on firing power. Play as many play as many of these as you can. Maybe it's spirit mages are the weakest. Like okay, let's think about rhinos versus lionesses. They're gonna have a lot of stuff in our face, so it feels like rhinos might be pretty good. So maybe I should think about them more. And we also just want to like, if Celeste exposes it, like make it so Celeste can't. So simultaneously, we want to hold down the fort for the entire game, and also we want to make it so that if Celeste ever exposes herself, or just that she gets punished by a chant of power. So we want her to never feel like she can really expose herself without being immediately punished. So I don't really know what I said there about commons. I think I lean towards archers and rhinos here. I don't think we need the lionesses. Let me tell Vexer I'm good to start though. Um, yeah. So like I mean. If we can just get big lionesses in their face, then they're not going to be able to deal with it. I really feel like it's just like whatever cards come to us. I mean, something in the past, I have failed to use rhinos very well. And I'm also trying to psych myself out of psyching myself out. That is, I would rather play Wayfarers in this matchup. I feel like Savannah Elves is like, I'm not very comfortable with them, or they're one of my weakest. Abashi is so weird when you look close up. Like, his eyes do not look like eyes. Um, um, do, do, do. Yeah, but I'm trying to like not be like, oh, okay, I'm playing a side of this matchup that I'm not comfortable with. We're screwed. We already feel like we're behind. I need to not feel like I'm behind. Like I need to just sort of play normally. Even though I know that Vexer will outplay me every step of the way. Like I need to just play normally. You sent it and now specifies um that I'm playing Savannah Elves and he's playing Wayfarers because I messed it up last time. Uh I sent him back and do you doubt my competence? Alright, let's get this game started. And let's get started. Alright. So after saying that, wait, let's choose the right faction. Can't get this off on the wrong foot yet again. I hate that it's in alphabetical order. I don't think in alphabets. I don't think in alphabets. All right. Going first is absolutely huge here. I'm guessing that's like at least a 5% swing on the matchup. And we have the two gates. So this is immediately a sort of situation that screams like good. Don't screw this up, Ben. Um it's interesting. I kind of just want, yeah, I want to send the lioness forward just to get in there, just to get in their face. I don't love it. I don't really see any other play other than this. Wait, what? This. Um, and I think I throw another boost on the lioness too. We could put it on the archer to get that kill on that voyager. One more health on the lioness can mean a lot though, because it might stick at 4. Like 4 is kind of hard to deal with. I'm like coughing and shit. I think the hardest decision is at that point. Oh, I mean, we could play the Spirit Mage too, just to like get a unit down because units are good in this matchup. Um, I think we won't because Magic is good in this matchup. Um, so sacrificing the kill on the Voyager is kind of bad. We could still get it. Yeah, it's kind of bad. No way around that. That's a tough decision. I want to bet the gate here. This is like this is where it begins. Um, I see a world where we put the gate back here, um, where we don't want to put the gate because this is a pretty this is very easy for Celeste to occupy, and we're sort of just asking for her to occupy it. But I'm kind of saying I don't care. I just want that away. I don't want. Like I'm just saying, you get there, whatever. Like at least I still have more summoning spots for a little while, and this lets me keep up some pressure so she can't just waltz on this way. So I could put it back here. I'm gonna put it here. I don't know, just especially since we're going first to keep up some tempo. Um, I see a convincing argument not to do it though. I might discard this Chant of Power. Wouldn't that be wild? Wouldn't that be absolutely crazy? All right, and here's the one that really matters. Damn. You can hope. You can hope. One can hope. All right. Am I crazy to discard Chant of Power? Like, I feel like if I discard Chant of Power, they're gonna like. I really can't hold it, but like, I don't really need it a ton. and I don't mind them like spending the entire game playing around it. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I am willing to, especially in a matchup where tempo matters more than like winning on resources. Let me make a quick post about this. Yep, the adventurer punishes our lioness. Interesting. Voyager just gets in our face a little bit. I like it. Probably use a Bua to kill that adventurer. Kind of willing to use a Bua willy-nilly for a little bit. I mean, Celeste isn't... They're at least they're not Vlox levels of like, at a certain point there's nothing you can do to stop an assassination. Like, if you block your units and you block the slip-bys, the diagonal slip-ins, you're gonna be fine. Going first, yeah, so like we yeah, good position for us. I mean, I'm guessing okay. Let me like try to put something on the book so I can be disproven later. Um just to like just to show the skill issues. I think if Wayfarers go first, they have at least a 55% chance to win. I don't think I'd be willing to play say 60, but I would probably be willing to say like 57.5 or something. And if a Bua goes first, that it's a 50-50. That's what I'd say. That's what my instinct says. I've been super wrong about these before. My like when I first saw the VG Mountain Vargath matchup, I thought, oh, this is probably kind of balanced. Newsflash, it's not. Not balanced at all. I like the forward. I like the gate there. I mean that. So that punishes my gate placement quite a bit. Um, and we could occupy this right away, but unfortunately, it does let them use like rogues to get by pretty quickly. They got the 3 for 3. No way. No way. Um, I could put an archer back here to do a swift shot on that gate if I like moved a Bua here. That'd be a little bit like wacky and wild. And like, what are you doing? Just because Bua is pretty exposed. The right hand like absolutely gets to me there. I don't really know. You don't real. I don't really want to move a Bua one space forward. That seems stupid. Um, but don't always get what you want. Yeah, if we could just move it, because I'd be very happy to put this border archer here with two. I mean, I don't know. If you think about it, I would rather kill these units than attack this gate, but like threatening the gate is good. Do I just want to put a rhino up there, honestly? I was thinking of doing a spirit mage. I mean, the rhino gives them something to attack, which I don't love. I'm thinking we set our own rhino up to like get boosted or something back here. I don't really know how or why, but yeah. We'll just set up a rhino over there. I don't know. So this spirit mage is asking for trouble, but that's okay. Um I mean, we could just have that archer go there, another archer go here. And getting the gate spot seems kind of good, though. Getting the gate spot seems kind of good, though. Where I end that statement. Okay, Ibushi missing this would suck. We're chilling. Oh, I could have had a rhino just trample that. See, that's the sort of skill issue you only get once in a lifetime. 2-on-2. Damn it. Yeah, because these are two easy kills for him, unfortunately. Absolutely should have trampled. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what it looks like, but could have gone like 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I feel like some combination of something was better there. Though I'm not sure if we would be able to get all the boosts we want. Okay, I'm going to be a bit crazy and actually hold 2 cards here. I know, holding cards. Burst into room. Sorry I'm late. We're already busy throwing her, Grata. Don't worry. Got everything under control. We discarded Chant of Power turn 1. No, I think this is good. Holding 2, like, I don't know. I want to play these rhinos and these archers. I feel like that's how we do pretty good here. This is whatever. They kind of wipe this board. Just hoping. Like, the matchup, as I'm seeing it, is if we can. We're pretending that if we can keep them out of our side, we win. Now it's more complicated like that than that, and and so that statement is definitely like false, but it's true enough for our purposes. um, like if it's a really close battle, like Celeste can win on econ, especially like though that would involve her being at least somewhat on our side. Taking the pick 2 of Bua since we handed it to them. All right, all right. That rhino is like the most telegraphed thing that anyone has ever seen. Staying out of border archer lanes, I think. All good stuff. If he goes 0 for 3 on Abua, I would totally trade with a dancer. Oh my crazy. Oh wait, I mean, if you, part of Abua's strength is like if you get to the late game, like Abua's worth like 4 commons. Like he can trade with like 4 commons back to back if they just come at him in a line. So that can be worth. But if you take those trades earlier in the game, that can just like let the economic game shape out better. So let's see. They're thinking about it. Hoping for a big miss on that Spirit Mage. That'd be pretty sweet. Miss. Darn it. Okie dokie. Yeah, so they've made the board such that we can't like defend everything that we want to. In fact, this turn seems kind of bad. What if we entangle a rhino and send it up? Seems alright. I mean, we're just trading in their face, but like I'm fine with that. Alright. Does a Bua trade with a Voyager? I think so. That play would be Archer gets a boost, Rhino goes here after getting a boost from a Bua. And so that's all 3 moves. And so we're not even like getting super good value out of this entangling here. This Rhino seems like an L. Not super happy with that Rhino. With what's going on with him right now. Get another boost on him. I mean, a Bua trading with this Voyager could help with tempo. Problem is, we're gonna continue to take stuff to the face. And that doesn't feel good. We could also go into their face. Like, heck, we could even put a board. We could just put Abua here, totally exposed, and put a border archer there. And just say, what up? What are you gonna do about it? Problem is, they could probably do a fair bit about it if they had the right cards. Which we can't live our life in fear of, but watch me. I think I want to have Abua exposed again. I know it seems like very stupid and dumb, but since I'm sending this Rhino up here, I want them to have to choose between these units, because they can't attack Abua and kill both of these. So I want to make that at least a little bit difficult, right? Yeah. Even though trading with a 2 health unit isn't really the best thing to do with Abua, but like that's a pretty good trade for them to offer up to me. Okie dokie. And this Rhino over here, like, yeah, just because we're taking the let's expose ourselves turn, like, I would rather expose myself on a lot of sides so they can't deal with all of them than none of them. It seems to be going well so far. It's going, like, we keep him off our side, we're chilling. That is where I'm at and where I'm going to continue to be at. I feel like I hold this. I kind of hate it. Like, I kind of want to discard super heavy, but like, I don't know. My deck's like half events at this point. Gonna hold the Rhino. Yeah, drew the Weaving, good. It's a pretty good hand. Pretty good hand. But against Vexer, like I'm worried even if I kept him off my turf the entire time and just like plow through my deck to do it, he's gonna still have some like crafty econ strategy in his back pocket. Do I think of Vexer like just like the perfect Summoner Wars AI? Like if someone was to do the perfect move, you're always gonna be a step behind. How do you deal with it? Oh, we're not seeing like any of the cards yet. That's just coming in to block our gate. We weren't able to use this gate to really swing off them for any interesting pressure. But I mean, hey, us putting this gate here forced them to put this gate here. Otherwise, they probably would have advanced further before putting the gate. So let's not get too hindsighty on ourselves. Like, that was a benefit. I haven't played like any Summoner Wars this week. I've been so busy. It's very sad. New factions just like sitting still in the like, oh, what's going on territory. Hopefully, I have some more time to stream sometime soon. I haven't announced it, but we're doing a scuffle on Sunday, late night, sort of in the evening on Sunday, which is kind of a weird time, but we're doing it. Um, but I need to get some casual streams in here at some point too. Yeah, so that dancer stealing our spot is rough. Gotta stream Celeste 64. Uh, no. You know, Celeste, they have the like the 8-bit version of Celeste when you play the game. I forget what it's called. They could miss here. All right, that's a step. It's a step in the right direction to the missing game. Let's fucking go. All right, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Do we chant of weaving something? Like a chant of weaving, yeah. So that went incredibly. It's incredibly lucky for us. We in there, etc. Um, I don't even know if we need the chant of weaving right now. I don't know what that does for us. Um, because I mean we could clog this board, but like, does this rhino even need to move really? Do we care? I mean, if this rhino moved and a rhino behind it moved, we could just kill that dancer. Kind of a silly idea though. I mean, okay, this goes like this. Abua goes there and boosts that to make that go like that. And then that's all 3 moves. I mean, seems pretty not good, right? I mean, we get to kill the dancer, then this attacks Celeste. Abua could even go here. Like, at this point, Abua could just go here and attack the dancer. Now we have, like, pretty guaranteed kill on the dancer. Probably have to summon a unit there to protect Abua's other side. So the benefit there is killing the units more guaranteed. I think, I don't know, the first thing I'm looking at is just getting archers and rhinos in here and just like overwhelming this board. Um, Honestly, do we offer up, like, do we move Abua? Do we like, just let them trade with Abua? I mean, I'm not incredibly threatened by that. I'm pretty threatened by that. Especially if we hold Chant of Weaving, though. Like, I'm not, like, gonna die levels of threatened. This dancer could live. Could live 8 dice, which is a little bit threatening. Um, we could move Abua in. Could move Abua in. But if we move Abua in, we're a bit more. I mean, are we like slip by's bad for us, but is anything else bad for us? Okay, just any adventurer could get to us there. Okay, so that's fairly bad. That's fairly in the like we should stop that from happening territory, I think. Right. Right. But if I just move to the side, I could use a Bua to boost this archer. Which at that point it's like, well, we could just go a space up. We could just do it. We could. Um I mean, we really could Chant of Weaving here. Like, that would just let us do this without any of the punishment. We go a Rhino to there, we do a Boer to there. And everyone's happy. Everyone is happy. I mean, is that really good? Just to, like, get some more unit, like, while we have the momentum up here, let's just, like, get in. So that unit goes there. Someone like a Border Archer back there? I don't know. A Bua goes there. That's a second move. That's a third move. Honestly, seems pretty good because that like just stops like the main counter that is like slip by and the dancer. Okay, I don't know. And we get another unit in their face. Now this is like kind of we're very committed to this board at this point, so like could be an L, but probably isn't an L. Oh, and we yeah okay, and that's the other move. Okie doke. Yeah, now we're pretty protected. Have a pretty good board state. And 5 for 5. 4 for 5 we take as well. Another acceptable outcome. Because now we finish it off and we get to shoot at Celeste, which is ideal. Yeah, so there's worlds where we could have done more dice on Celeste this turn, but I would rather just like I don't know. We win on Econ. Winning good. Do we discard anything? These are both units I want to keep at this point. So maybe not. We could discard though since we still have 2 good champs. I think both of these units I want to play. I'm gonna hold. Even though, again, holding feels weird against Wayfarers. Even though, like, in a lot of matchups I get criticized for discarding too heavily, I feel like against aggro factions is the place to do it, if any. Wow. It really just... How many... Okay, real quick, before we watch the rest of this turn, how much hand clock are they dealing with? They held 2 last turn. Held 2 cards. That might be like a coordinate. That might be like a coordinate and a slip by. Because what else would it be? Like, or a Baldo or something. A champ that they really want to get out. This screams some sort of hand clog to me, but I mean, maybe you wouldn't even like play a rogue or something. But even this gate is now suddenly much more threatening because now Abu is not safe where he is, and now we need to decide: do we commit even more to this board? If we could beat up a gate right now, that would actually be very nice. We could take down a gate. I don't think that's gonna happen. We did draw the Chant of Power. Yeah, I did just see that, Hergrata. You make a compelling argument. You make a very compelling argument. That is a solid top deck. Spirit Mate, I think it would have to go, well, so on the Archer, we could get, so Archer's at 1 right now. We can add 1 from a Spirit Mage, 1 from a Bua, 1 from Growth. So it goes up to 4, and 4 means 11 range dice, as opposed to if all that goes on a Rhino, which we're maxing out at 7 because we don't have the entangling. Interestingly though, 1, 2, we're very close to being able to get the Rhino behind Celeste. We could do it, but we'd be sacrificing 2 range dice. Probably isn't worth it at that point. Yeah, Chant of Power to the face though is definitely what's happening. Like, you got, we agree that far for sure. Okay, maybe Spirit Mage over here just to keep everybody safe. Keep everybody cozy and warm. Yeah, I really don't see another option here. Oh, no. We do get more boosts. Interesting. We have 1 more boost than I calculated for, which does in fact mean a fully boosted Archer hits Celeste, and that could even kill her. That's 13, so that's pretty good. So this game is going very well for us. Problems is like Baldo plus what's the coordinate gets behind me, so like this plus slip by gets here. And then I don't know. So I'd believe that there's a world where we're dead. I can't quite think of it, but I mean, we could consider moving Abua 1 space to the right. Oh ho ho! What do we have here? Going for the kill, I see. So much beef. Yeah, I mean, beef is good. Abua 1 space to the right for safety. Yeah, think about it. I mean, because I think that shuts down most of the ways they could kill Abua next turn, but it does make it a little bit easier for Abua to get trapped. Have you considered what if they just die first? We don't. You notice how you like. we thought of like the Chant of Power play together, which means that you thought of it much before me because of the stream. Like my mind is not on assassination. We do not think about winning. We do not think about winning the game. Winning the game is a side goal. Okay. Is there any way in which this is less safe than I'm currently thinking? I mean, Baldo to there. Baldo to there is pretty bad. Baldo to there is pretty bad. One. Celeste can still only get to there. Something something to there. Something something else to there. So we can get trapped, but Baldo can't get behind us from this position. My big Chant of Power turn, I literally just did it in League, got him down to 1. Skill issue. Any other questions? No. That's how it goes. I'm sorry for your loss, Beans. Okay, I like the sound of Baldo not literally being able to get behind us, though. But if Baldo goes here, Baldo can go there. I mean, like, if Baldo goes here, the only other unit they can bring in... Oh, no, they could bring in a rogue, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you could do a rogue and do a slip by. And that is probably enough dice to kill me. Got a waypoint to run away. Oof. Okay, so this is the definition of overthinking. Of, like... we have been there, we have defined it. Are we really safer one spot to the right? It feels so wrong, but I think I am. Whatever. I'm gonna... Oh wow, we really started here, so we could even go 2 spots to the right. Okay. I think I'm safer. Like, either way we can get trapped. Like, units can be to my sides, which is not good. But I feel like I'd rather be here and trapped than here and trapped, since I have units to, like... I have units to respond better over here. Like, if Ambershe's trapped, to just try to kill them and keep Abua alive. Anyway. And now we play with Vexer's Heart. Okie dokie. Yeah, so tell me what you would have done, where you would have put Abuishi right there. Just in the, like, accounting for all situations sort of brain. Alright. Still got a shot at the kill here. Will there be a game that ends quickly? We got him! Yes! What if you just win a game? A Vexer Ben game takes less than 2 hours. There you go. Easy game. Victory to Ben. Yeah, so I mean I've really, like, you know, all of these games before that I've kind of just been going easy on Vexer, like didn't want to make him feel too bad about himself. Yeah, Hagrata says you're welcome. Hats off to you, Hagrata. The hustle was real. We made it. That is in fact, let's check the record against Vexer there. Yeah, no, Vexer is insane. I need a lucky situation or a matchup that I'm very comfortable with to, I feel like, have a shot of beating him, and like nothing for or against him or me, but like, you know, there's just skill issues in this game sometimes. Why can I not choose Vexer? Where is V in the alphabet? Okay. Played Vexer 10 times. All of them are losses, except for the most recent one. There you go. That's all I need to know. It's alphabetized by capital. Okay, I'm can't interpret that. Too complicated. Just jumps in the call to hear Vesher. Just jumping into the call with Vexer trash talking. uh, and hello.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
hey man, good game.
Good game, good game. Let me real quick just make sure my audio is the same as yours. All right, sounds pretty good. I finally got you. I did it.
Yeah, you
I
got me
could.
this time. Yeah,
It's happened. It's not gonna be the Ben gets 5-0'd series. And breathe a sigh of
exactly.
relief. Uh, but
Let's your
it seems
screen.
like
If
a
you want to share
lot.
your
Oh
screen.
yes, I'll share my screen. It seems like a lot went my way. That game, like starting from the very first turn. If anything, I felt a little bit more pressure because I was like, all right, I'm going first as a Bua, and I'm starting the game with 2 gates. That's like exactly what you want in this matchup. So
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
scared even more that I'm gonna mess it up. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't get any better exactly from that hand. When I saw that, I was like, oh boy, like this is gonna be
yeah,
an uphill battle for sure. Let's see. So, okay, it was stream. Okay, now yeah. So this game is this matchup is extremely close, right? It's like anyone's game. Like this is the one in which those small things, like what you mentioned, are the ones that kind of like push the game on one side or the other. Like who starts is huge in this matchup, right? Not only because
yeah,
for SC is the more drastic one with that lion there, but because it can shift the momentum of the game to be on the other half instead of on their own half. And having those gates at the beginning, like not only one but two, is just devastating, right? Because it's hard now for wayfarers to really move forward and expand without leaving themselves completely exposed or bringing like trying to use Celeste is really hard because now wherever you want to shoot from her, like there's always going to be a flank in which she can get punished on the way back. So
yeah,
it makes it harder to get her involved or to really start bringing the game into the opponent's half of the board where it's where you want to be, right? But when they already have those gates there, it's really hard because if you get any unit into the half of the board, like they're gonna completely blow it up from many sides. Like they'll be able to do like the two flank attacks to completely kill any unit, even the dancer that you get into, not even the opponent's side, like just into the half of the board. They're gonna be exposed to that. So yeah, and you know the worst thing is I ended up in that situation in which I ended the turn with Baldo and coordinate,
yeah.
and then I just drew like the two from the horizon and another gate or so. Like I didn't have any unit to play. I knew like,
You
dude,
didn't have any unit to play.
I'm
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. That's why I just retreated with Celeste because I didn't had anything. And that coordinate that I had been holding it for a couple turns because I wanted to at least get the opportunity to use it against like the chunky units that SC has, like the rhinos or the lion or something like that. But
yeah,
the first turn where I could use it, you only had like the spirit mage and then the damage archer which had like one life. So I was like, dude, what a waste of using the coordinate right now, right? Like it
yeah,
would only really be giving me one extra attack to a Avua. So I was like, I'm gonna hold on another turn. Like there's always good opportunities against SC with the rhinos and all that, which you were already getting ready on the back. So I wanted to be able to have a better shot of, well, one-shotting those rhinos with a single attack from Celeste or something like that.
yeah,
So I was holding to that coordinate for that opportunity. I had all my, like I was drawing all my champions and discarding them. Like I had already discarded the other two and was just keeping Baldo, but never really got the chance of playing him at the end.
gotcha.
Um, yeah, in yeah, so that was the game. Really, it was pretty straightforward. Like you did a good job of keeping the momentum of the game on my side. Didn't really give me any good opportunity to try to bring it to yours. Like that, even that rhino that you just had like sitting back there. I was thinking of like getting the rogues. They're not ideal in this matchup. But for example, I could have brought that rogue to block your front gate spot and attack the spirit mage from there. But I didn't want to give you like good targets for your rhino to start trampling and getting the like guaranteed almost kill on that one.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, hey, I'm gonna just be buying some time here, wait for those big units to get close to do a coordinate turn, and or if I'm able to tempt Abua to get like one row closer, I can try to use the coordinate to go after him or something like that, right? I was trying to wait for those opportunities, but yeah, you never really open up those opportunities, and just kept the pressure, kept sending like the big units that I couldn't do. Like another big turn was when I went for the try to kill the archer, like send the dancer, block your front gate spot,
Yes,
and
yes.
then finish it up with Celestia. I checked that one. I was like,
That was
well, I have
brutal.
80%. Yeah, that one
Oh,
was
I
brutal.
see.
I had
Yeah.
80% of that one. So I didn't want to waste the rogue. I had a rogue that I almost played just to give me one extra attack with
I
Celeste.
see. Yeah.
And but it wouldn't really give me any, like I wouldn't even attack with him. Like I had already my 3 attacks.
Yeah.
So I was like I have Baldo in hand. I cannot like waste like a unit that then you will just be able to easily kill with a rhino, and I will never really get a chance to play Baldo on more units. So I was like 80% is good enough. I'm not gonna like fear that. I'll just use the rogue or just discard it, whatever. And yeah, after that, I was like, okay, I think this game is almost lost.
Yeah. It's interesting how much it feels like this matchup can swing back one way or the other. And I totally could be missing things too, but like I would call this matchup fairly even, but with like a decent chance to swing either way. Like I've had games, maybe I'll I had a recent game against Jexic. Maybe I'll pull it up. But like I had a crazy turn one as Wayfarers and was just like able to just get in his side immediately, and it just did not feel fair. Here, let me see if I.
Yeah, it can start like really the first few turns. You tend to set up the momentum of the game, and it's hard to really shift it afterwards. Most of the times when you see that is when Avua gets too comfortable or they take like a risk, and then Wayfarers can always like get the game back and suddenly hit like throw like 13 dice to Avua and just kill him in a turn.
Yeah. Yeah, real quick, just another way this could go. Like Wayfarers go first. This was my first turn as Wayfarers in
Yeah,
in one
that's
game, and you can already imagine like what is gonna happen. Like how do you deal with this as a Bua?
exactly. Like the whole momentum of the game is there. And then especially if Avua didn't had a gate in the opening hand, let's see if he did.
They
Like if
did
he
not.
doesn't have a gate, it's pretty much over. Like at that point,
Yeah,
it's hard to keep up because now Celeste doesn't even have to like have the risk of getting hit too hard or retreating. Like he can just keep the pressure, and then if Celeste gets gates, then he doesn't even worry if you get a gate because now like he can block some positions with a gate, keep getting units at that
yeah,
point, like the game, it's hard for things to shift unless like both factions have the potential of kind of like the big turn, like that combo, like what Avua did right now, in which suddenly they're throwing like 10 dice, like that's those small combos that they have. So either side can always pull that out and suddenly turn the tables,
yeah,
but it's more likely than not that that's not going to happen, right? Like it's probably whoever gets the momentum. If they play it like safe at that point, like keeping the pressure but not taking unnecessary risks, they'll usually be taking the game.
yeah. So I'm curious. Would you agree with me that this matchup is roughly even? And then, like, if so or if not, like, how much you think the first player advantage shifts that? Would it shift it just 5% in each direction, or what would you think?
Yeah, I would say it's close by. Like I expect to see the percentages around the 50%, like going
Yeah.
like in some divisions will go to one, and some divisions to the other. And there are many small factors. Like for example, if you go first, like yeah, that gives you a slight edge, right? But if you don't have gates, like maybe like you won't really be able to keep that momentum. If the opponent
Hmm.
had the gates, maybe they can shift the momentum. At the end of the day, is whoever can establish that momentum of where the game is taking place. If it's taking place on the Wayfarer's half or in the middle, or if Wayfarer manages to take the opponent's like fourth and third row and get like an advance gate on the fourth row of wave, like of either side, really,
Uh-huh.
then that's really where I would say, like, yeah, this is probably going to go this way or the other. Until I see after the first 3, 4 turns, that's when you will probably determine who's going to be more likely than not taking that game.
Yeah, gotcha. And it seems like, I mean, and we'll talk about it, that it seems like some factors outside of your control can really contribute to it going one way or the other, like who goes first in the gates and whatnot. But I do genuinely like enjoy the counterplay of like of these two factions with like the Wayfarers. Like one of Abuashi's like biggest weaknesses is like the lack of movement in like the attack phase, or like if you trap Abua, like he doesn't have any like crazy movement tricks to get out of that. Like he's probably just trapped and gonna die. Um,
Hmm.
but he's got like he can just hit harder than Celeste can, and so he's got that going for him. And so, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in that sense, it's just like defense versus offense, I guess, for the entire
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
And that's the thing. Like when Celeste is able to take the initiative, like she's going to be hitting harder. Like she's always going to be at 5, 6, 7.
yeah,
But the thing is, when things don't go their way, like it happened for me in this one, like Celeste is almost useless, right? Like shooting at 3, she won't really be able to be like an effective way to deal with those lions and archers and things like that coming her way. So, but Avua is able to be like a big threat defensively because he's going to be shooting adventurers. He's going to be shooting things like that. That it's easy to one shot for Abua. Or whenever, like if Celeste gets a little bit low, like even that is a threat at that point, right? It's kind of like one of those all-in situations in which, like whoever gets more of the ranged dice in those like last shots is whoever gets it, right? Like Celeste might go all the way in and try to get the kill shot. The thing with Avua is, like I went for a shot at him because you don't want him to be just killing your things for free, right? Like
yeah,
you want to be punishing those. And as long as in this matchup you get a single hit, like if you get him at 8 or 7, then it's easy to kill him in a coordinate turn with 2 or 3 attacks. Like with
yeah,
the 3 attacks, it's almost a guaranteed kill, but maybe even with 2, it's easy to get like 7 melee dice with that. So you already have them in the range in which you can kill him.
yeah,
Or yeah, like it becomes easy because many times you're going to do it with a combination with sleep by. So you'll be having like 4 melee with 6 at least ranged. So it's easy to get those final shots. So let's take a look at each faction. Like really, this one is not a complex matchup because they're really just going to be trying to do what they try to do, like on their core strategy of that they follow most of the time, really.
yeah,
For Abu in this case, like it's important to keep him safe, keep him on the back 2 rows as you were doing. Like once you get him 1 row forward on the third one and you don't have the side gates giving you some protection, like it's really risky and it's really easy for them to do a slip by and a coordinate and suddenly be killing him. So it's important to keep him on the back. Whenever you have a chance to get some value out of his shots and kill him like an adventurer and then just be at risk maybe for the Voyager, like that's okay, right? But you want to always keep in mind that like Wayfarers is going to be planning that coordinate sleep by turn. Then the rest of the events, it's the usual. Like it's SC is pretty magic hungry, so you want to make sure that you are keeping a healthy amount of magic. Like you want to finish the turns with at least 3 magic, ideally 4, so that you can bring 2 units out. Meaning like at least the spirit mage and something else, but
yeah,
sometimes you don't even get like the extra mage, and you want to be able to play 2 of the other 2 units. So it's important to discard with that in mind. Most of the time, the chant of weaving, I just discard it for magic unless I'm really going to be able to get some good value out of it. Meaning a lot of counters on a unit, at least 2 counters or more on a unit that then I'm going to be able to use for a specific plan, or to get some advanced positioning to go for the kill shot on the summoner or to surround something, like do something like that. because otherwise this deck needs so much magic that I would rather have the magic. Chant
Oh,
of Entangling is just amazing. You will never really discard it. Sometimes like you get the massive combos, but even if you get like a little value, like you did in this one, like with a double shot on the Rhino and things like that,
yeah,
even that was really not a great value, right? But even that, sometimes it's better than discarding. It's valuable.
yeah,
Growth, it's something that you want to just get as many counters. Like if I'm only going to get two, sometimes I consider discarding it. But if you can get at least three counters out of it, it's definitely valuable. Or if you're going to get two, if it's for a specific purpose, like doing the combo with Chant of Power, things like that, that's perfect, right? Like that's kind of like how you take many of the games as SE with like the Archer and the Chant of Power or the Entangling on a rhino or a lioness with entangling and power, like those type of combos are the ones that give you the game. So it's perfect to use the chant of growth for that. For the units, so this matchup is going to be pretty like a lot of combat, like melee combat, a lot of exchanges. So you want to make sure that, for example, the rhinos, you don't want to get a rhino that you send forward to maybe trample one unit and then do a two magic attack. And then you just give them a good target to do like a Dancer Celeste and kill your rhino. Like that's not good enough value to be able to keep up with the trades and with the magic exchanges and all that. So the Rhino in this matchup, you definitely like. I wouldn't be using that many of them.
mm,
They were still valuable. For example, you did some great use of them. Like you had them on the back, we're ramping them up, covering front gate position is so that way you were forcing the combat on my side of the table because taking care of them was gonna take time, and you had like a good magic economy going on. So you were gonna keep being able to keep bringing units. So that's a good use of the Rhino. But getting a Rhino to get some like a counter, send him forward as a single unit almost, or like without really supporting, which they can focus on him and just blow it up.
yeah,
Like that's not how you want to be using them. But
yeah,
other than that, like if you use them as you were doing right now, or getting them in such a way that you're going to be able to use them with entangling, like trample many units, then do things like that, or like entangling with a lioness. Like you want to get some value like that because the rest of the magic you want to focus it on the archers. Those guys are actually like the best unit probably for this faction, and they are perfect for against wayfarers. Like those guys don't really have a lot of range game. The only range unit is very weak, only 2 health. So you want to use as many as you can of for them. And then the lioness, you'll use a few, not all of them, because if you're not able to pump them up, like concentrate your counter on them when you bring them up, they're not worth it, right? Like if you bring them up with a put a counter, attack once, and it's a 4-3, it's I mean it's still not horrible because they'll have to use two attacks to kill them, but it's not ideal. You want to be able to at least have some accumulated counters on or a Vua so that it's at least a 5-3 like after his first attack. So be able to put two counters on it the turn that it comes out, and that's how it's going to be problematic for them to deal
yeah,
with those. Finally, the Spirit Mage, I you're gonna need a few because like you'll need to get that extra counter for some turns with the lioness, some ranged attack to finish off some smaller units. So you'll use some, but probably not the four of them, right? Because at some points you'll need the magic or some other things, and they are too easy for wayfarers to pick off. So you want things like one of the main weaknesses of Wayfarers is that they only have three attacks, and that's it. They don't have any other way of dealing damage. So having those chunky units that they have to at least use two attacks for them, and
yeah,
sometimes it won't even be a guarantee. Like what happened to me in that turn, that was just devastating. Pretty much at that point, failed that the game just slipped by my hands. So that's where you want to be with those units in which they'll have to commit multiple attackers and still not even have like a guarantee shot. with the spirit mage, it's easy for them to be making those kills most of the time without like a lot of effort, without having to line up multiple attackers to do it, as with the other ones. That it becomes harder, especially if they don't get early gates, because it won't be that easy to get multiple flanks without having to send the adventurers to way forward in such a position that then Avua can just shoot them from all the way on the back, which is what happened on our first turn, right? Like you had that lion going forward, and my only way to get like 2 attacks on him was sending the adventurer that then you can easily kill with Avua from a safe spot.
Uh-huh. Yeah, for sure. And I feel like a lot of what I would be thinking about that game would be like, if I'm gonna like commit into the mid board, and I guess this is just like a principle for in general, but like if I'm gonna commit, I want to commit with a lot. Like I want to commit with enough in the mid board that is like you are not going to be able to kill all of those things. Or like there was a turn where I committed with like 2 units, but then I was like, well, I'm also going to expose Abuishi because I like at least if you wipe my board, at least you haven't touched Abuishi or something like that. And you mentioned that earlier, but just like yeah, not like just sending a single lioness to be immediately wiped. Something.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way you want to do it. And yeah, and that first turn, I was thinking like, man, I don't want to leave the adventurer in that position, but just giving you that great target.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? You don't really have many choices there. Like that lioness is like a must kill unit. Like like you have to just kill it fast, otherwise it's just gonna like get 3 more counters, 2 more counters the next turn, and be a bigger problem. So that's why sometimes like you feel like you don't have that many choices at the beginning of the game in those things, like who goes first, who gets the gates, who gets like that first momentum of setting up where the if it's going to be on your half or my half.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of how it goes. But for someone else, it's mostly that, just always keeping in mind that the slip by and coordinate turns, like they're always going to be by mid game, like waiting for the having those ready for an opportunity to use them. And doing a line, right? Like the last turn, what you did there with a line was perfect, because even if I had a slip by and coordinate, which I didn't, I only had coordinate. So go to the last turn just to show you how, even though you were completely controlling the game, like it was all in your hands, just before your attack, like how you left things there with the line of the rhinos were a way to make it really hard for me to do a slip by and do like multiple attacks. So I had Baldo, a rogue, I had coordinate. So it's not uncommon to also have like something like that, like 2 units, one of them that is able to evade almost anything, like the adventurer or Baldo, plus slip by. So with your line, I think even if let's say the odds were that I was going to be finishing my turn in 1 or 2 life,
Yeah.
right? So I still had one shot to kind of like one shot Avua, which is not hard if you
Yeah.
attack with 3 units, right? With coordinate. So I was thinking like, well, at least with the previous positioning that you had, I was able to hit you with the rogue and with Baldo, right? So that was like
With
7 dice
with the
already.
Bua one spot to the left, you mean?
Yes, you had
Yes,
it there, I believe.
that's what I
So
was thinking about for a while.
yes, so just there, like I was able to position like those two to attack for 7, right? So I was close to having like even if you were at 7, just with those two at least have a shot, right? Like even though the game was full in your control, like
Yeah.
it's not a guarantee with Wayfarers. It's never a guarantee against Wayfarers. So with Sleep By, let's see if you.
Yeah, if you had slipped by there as well, I think that easily could have been the game. That's easily 3 attacks on Abua. Could have done it. Um,
Yes.
if Abua was one spot to the left, that is.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
he was one spot to the left, I would have been able to get the 3 units there, and it would have been like almost a guaranteed kill, right? It would
Yeah.
have been like 7 dice on Celesta, 4 on the other guy, 3 on the other guy. Like it was like 90 something percent probably. And that's on a game that seems completely lost, right, for me, and it was completely dominated by you. So that's why it's important to be thinking that way, like forming those straight lines and only really bringing a Bua into that type of position when you're going for the kill shot as you were doing, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, like if you didn't really have the kill shot, there was no need of bringing a Bua outside of the second line as you had it before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I don't really, I don't know if there's like like with slip by, like yeah, keeping units in lines seems like the perfect way to counter it. And I guess with like to play around coordinate, I guess I mean you just gotta count from the enemy gates. Like I mean I feel like in general, so if Celeste has the right cards, they can probably get somewhere, especially with enough magic. And like Baldo plus coordinate can get so far as well, or an adventurer. But I still I still try to like just think about, okay, like if my opponent just like if you just had like coordinate plus slip by, what's like the minimum that like you could do with just that, and like how do I not die immediately if that happens?
And you know what? Actually, even in this positioning, if I had to slip by, it was the same thing. Like there's a way to position like the rogue on C4, like rogue on C4.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
from there, and then Baldo 1, 2, 3, like from there going all the way
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
C3, and then Celeste with a slip by. So it was like one
Oh, I see.
diagonal, then 1, 2, 3, and then one diagonal out, like all the way out to A3, and that was it. Like that was almost like a kill shot there. Like
Yeah,
so, there's one,
so
two,
here I
three,
am
and then
like, yep,
yeah, and that was like 7 melee. Let's say like you get five, and then you only really need like 3 out of 6, right? So it's a very likely kill shot. So that's why this game, like, it's never really over until it's over because
yeah,
either of them can pull out a game that way. Like if you go all in, like in your move here, there was really a kill shot there that was at that point it was very likely that I would have those two, right? I hadn't really drawn any slip by, but I had already gone through like 2/3 almost of the deck, so it was likely that I was keeping one of them. So yeah, that's why it's always risky to bring him out that way.
yeah, yeah. I wonder if I wonder if you could say that this would even be like a misplay for me. I mean, like if the game is going well enough in my favor, even though like even though you would have to have those cards, and it's a lot of getting 13 dice on Celeste, like is this a risk that I shouldn't have taken? Is the
I
game
would
going enough?
say,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that that was an unnecessary risk because you know the
Mm,
chances of
uh-huh.
because let's say even if I don't have Baldo, which I have the magic for it, so you can assume like it's likely that I've been like saving up for him. Probably an adventurer. Yeah, an adventurer would have taken me to that same position. Like I would have been able to do that attack even without Baldo, just with an adventurer and a rogue.
Yeah.
So let's see, was it even necessary for you to put him here there? Because the thing is, to reach
Oh, that's true.
Celeste, the archer didn't really need to move forward. Like the archer just needed to be on D4. That's as far as he needed to be. And then you could have done the same play on with Abua being one back on B2. Sorry, C2.
Yes, that's true. Okay, that does seem like that seems like a little bit of a brain fart. I could have just had the Archer one spot back, and Abu would have been much safer. So yes,
Exactly.
I
And
see
that
that.
way, maybe like it wasn't possible to hit with all those dice or 1, 2, 3. I mean, maybe one, two,
No,
three.
I
But
think that
actually, it's still, yeah, it's still a
no,
kill shot there. Like you can
still
see how,
100%.
but this kind of like just shows the point that we were discussing, right? Like the Wayfarers can't really hit you almost anywhere whenever they play the coordinate plus slip
Yeah,
by. Like even with this like good line that you had and all that distance between them, like just with two units, like one of them being adventurer and the other one being almost anything, like either voyager on or rogue, and Celeste will slip by, like they can cross the whole field and do the triple attack on Avua. So really, like he's only safe when he's all the way to the back with some like gating fronts. I mean, you're like,
yeah,
that's the only point in which he's kind of safe. And even sometimes, like when he's already low on health, if you have any diagonal spaces, you have to keep in mind that the slip by is always like the finisher, like a very common finisher of Wayfarers that manages to get Celeste to throw like 5, 6, 7 dice and finish him off.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, well, that was an interesting like final analysis. Like the and I mean, I knew I didn't have the slip by for the final, like the because I also needed Celeste to get it there, but and I
Yeah,
had not discarded any of them, so I was hoping to like draw it at the end or something like that.
I see. I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at Wayfarer just to close with some. We've talked already about like what they want to
Yeah, for
do,
sure.
just about like which cards are more maybe relevant or not in this matchup.
Yeah.
So I would say in this one, the rogue is slightly less useful than usual. The rogue is not a unit that you play four of them in every game. Like he's more of a corner case scenario, like when you have a right situation, like when many times like a Bua is hiding behind gates, but then you can reach him with a rogue. I've seen some like games sometimes end that way. Like some people even forget about him and think they're safe between two gates. So you want to use him that way, or use him just for those like coordinate turns in which you are able to do like two attacks on the same lion that has a single flank open, but this guy allows you to do the extra attack. So he's going to be useful. But one thing to keep in mind is that SE is very magic hungry. So one
Mm-hmm.
way to make them be like have a hard time is have make them work for that magic, like have them struggle for it. So I would prioritize. Well, with Wayfarers is hard really because even the other units they don't have high health. But I would just not be throwing rogues out there just to do a single attack like on a rhino or something like that, that it's going to be inconsequential and then he's going to be eaten up easily. Like you don't want them to be so expendable, even though they're commonly a kind of expendable unit. But the thing with them is like the Voyager is the same thing, right? Like they're like a one-shot type of kill type of unit, but it's your only range unit. So you'll be using it every now and then to reach those hard spots, to hit a Vua, or to be able to finish off a unit. Like with that guy and the adventurer, you can reach like almost any spot. So you'll be using it that way. But also keep in mind, like you want to get some value out of it, not just like shoot an irrelevant unit, right? Like if you're shooting a Vua, that's okay. But if you're just shooting like a lioness that has 6 life, and then like he's gonna come and just eat the Voyager, like you don't want to be in that spot. Like you don't want to use them that way.
Yeah.
The adventure is going to be really useful because they're going to allow you to like get the flank on the big units that you want to kill that turn, to be able to bring down the rhinos or the lions or even the archers on a single turn, and give you some good odds to do it, so that you're like rolling like 5 melee on something that has 4 health, or doing a Celeste and this guy to guarantee that you kill like a 5-6 health unit. And the dancer is the one that I would say maybe it's slightly more useful than it is ordinarily, just because it has like a higher health threshold and allows you to use Celeste in a safer way by doing those turns in which you get it. Well, kind of like what I try to do, in which Celeste was still going to be in a relatively safe position, because with SE, you're always at risk of those big combos, right? Like that's always what you're afraid of, in which even though you're at 10 life, if you get too close and get exposed, maybe they had the combo and they are hitting you for 10 or something like that. So the dancer allows you to kind of get around those situations. For the events and the champions, I would say the champions only Boldo is the one that you want to bring out as usual, because it allows you to use Celeste in a safe way, do the dual attacks, reach any spot, attack and then retreat. Like you always want to play that guy. The other two champions, I think they're useless on this matchup. Gusto, like it's not really a matchup in which like the from the horizon is going to be like the critical thing. Like it's the game is unlikely to really reach the end game, and it's probable that you're going to be able to trigger them without any extra assistance, just because of how worried SC is going to be just protecting Avua. Like they won't be able to completely seal the back row. So those two champions, I would just drop them immediately for Magic. The events from a Signet Horizon, you'll just play it and just hope that then you get it. And then you only really force trying to get it if you already have the second one and don't want to discard it. So then maybe you can just use a unit suboptimally just to reach the back and trigger it so that you can get the other one out of your hand. The waypoints are very situational. Most of the times I would prefer discarding them for magic because you'll need a lot of magic in this matchup. Like you want a constant flow of magic to be bringing your big units, your adventurer and dancers, to be killing like in the same turn the big units from SE, so that the tide goes your way of who kind of like has that dominance on the board. But if you find those situations like the one that you showed us in which you had that brutal turn and then use it to block one of their summoning spots, that's how you want to be using it. Or when you do those type of very aggressive all in turns that also send Celeste so that she can shoot for 6 Avua, and then you use the waypoint to cover one of the flanks so that they don't blow you up on the counter attack. That's most of the time how you want to use it, because otherwise it's going to be too easy for SC to just uh, like blow them up and then just get the magic, and you didn't really get any value out of them. So it's that type of situation where you want to get the most out of them. Coordinate and slip by. Usually, you're never really going to be discarding them. Maybe one slip by, you're forced to discard it if you draw like the two of them really early and you feel like there's really not a good use of it, and you need the magic because there's a lot of exchanges and you need to keep bringing those units out. So you can discard one that way. Coordinate, it's always more valuable to use it. Usually you don't want to hold it for too long because you can end up with a situation like what happened to me, in which I didn't really had any good targets, and then suddenly I didn't had any units to play because it was just one extra card that was in my hand. So many times, as long as you can there's many units in here, like really only the mages that have 2 health. So most of the time you'll have targets so that it's worth using, right? Like you really want to use it when you're hitting those chunky targets so that you're getting that extra attack has some meaning, like has some value in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that covers the cards. Like we've talked about where you want to be with the game. Really, it's not as excessive as like you're really just blindly going to be rushing forward, because you still want to do it in such a way that, for example, you're sending those dancers aligned with the opponent's gates so that Avua cannot really just shoot them back. Right? Like when they're able to do that with no fear, it's really hard to be able to keep the momentum with units when they're shooting with a 5 range unit and killing him in like 1 or 2 attacks, right? Which is what's going to be happening most of the time. So sending forward, like what I was trying to do in one of these turns, in the next turn here, in which I send him to take the position of that archer, like that's usually how you want to be using that guy. Or if they have the game on their side, like you can use him to be able to do 2 attacks on a unit and keep a safe position on Celeste or any other unit. But the key of the game, as we just saw, is pushing forward. Very important to get the early gates. So if I had a hand with all units, no gates, it's okay to discard aggressively at first to find that gate, because you're expecting to get those units back at the end of the game with from the horizon. So, or whatever the horizon, that event, that's what you're expecting. So don't really slow play it at first, because if you get stuck with only the initial gate, it's going to be hard to bring the game to the opponent's side, right? Simply because your units won't really have enough mobility to be pressuring the front gate spots of the opponent, or to be threatening Avua in a way that he's really not able to just be shooting whatever gets around, like in this game, right? Like all of this side was easy for him to feel comfortable, because it was hard for me to get a lot of damage out of this side of the game.
For sure. I have a few random questions for you. Well, one of them is Beans Easley in chat is a big fan of the Wayfarers, and they like to play Tess a lot. They think that Tess is underrated that she can get a lot of use here and there, and is challenging us on that. Do you have any response to that? The Tess lovers among us.
Yeah, yeah. So Tess is she's really useful in matchups in which like shifting where the game is being played is relevant, and like when you want to also quickly pressure with that 10 gate forward and then just shift it to this side or the other against a faction like for example that has a lot of mobility too, like the Avens, or that doesn't have a lot of mobility like the Forged, in which those gates you can suddenly be using them to block the turrets, things like that. Like that's when she really shines, because most of the other decks, like they have let's say the average amount of health in the units, SC is way above that. Like the amount of health that they have is really high. So the way that Tess attacks, like it's almost like a pinprick. Like she won't really be doing almost anything to the opponent's units that you really need to kill fast. That's one of the keys with SC. Like those lions, the key to victory is being able to kill them the turn that they come out before they become a big problem. So having Tess around like won't really help you that way. Moving the gate forward, like if you're able to get her turn two or something like that, like it would be significant, right? But if you get her in the middle of the game, it won't really be that relevant. Like at that point, you're assuming that you're already gonna have at least one gate on the side giving you some coverage. And unless you're moving that 10 gate forward really fast in the first few turns, it's not going to be that significant, right? Or let's say if the game is on your side because you couldn't really set the momentum, bringing Tess and moving that 10 gate is really not going to change the fact that those units are like completely blowing you apart, like in our game. And if you already have the momentum on your side and already have some side gates, bringing that 10 gate slightly forward might not be like that significant. So the reason why I would prefer like not to use her is that you're going to need a lot of magic in this matchup. I always account for the fact that I want Baldo. I want those five to bring Baldo out. And I'm going to need a lot of dancers in this matchup. And I will also need the adventurers because those are the only ones that hit hard enough in this matchup to be killing those archers, lions, and rhinos in a quick way, right? Like you want to be able to kill them faster that they can kill yours. And if I'm spending five on Tess, I feel like it's probably going to be really hard to come up on top in that way, right? And also, well, because of the way that like SC is able to hit really hard, it's easy for them to just completely kill her in like a couple swings, right? Or with one of those like from like the power turns, chant of power. So I would be afraid of bringing her out, spending a lot of magic, and then her becoming a underwhelming unit that's really not going to give me what I need at that moment in the field, which is hard hitting units and a constant flow of units. Because SC also hits hard, right? So those adventurers are probably going to hit once and die, but then you need to be able to bring something back that kills the lion that killed the adventurer, right? That's probably going to be the flow you're seeing in the middle of the board for for establishing control of which side the battle is fought on before the game turns into who can hit the other summoner, right? Like once you have control of the other side, really you're trying to also start putting the pressure on the summoner.
Uh-huh. For sure. So we'll take we'll take some reckless there, and Tess isn't totally worthless. There we can see her in other situations, other matchups.
Exactly.
But
No,
this one
there's a
seems.
lot of matchups in which she's great. Yeah. So she's not like useless in general. I just think in this matchup, like she won't really give you what you need in the board. But there are some other matchups in which she's the relevant for sure.
Yeah. Beans should also be happy that you like Ember Demons. You're a fan of playing them. That's something that a lot of people tend to say are worthless, and he's always upset about.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I don't know why people would think that. I think they're just great value, and they allow you to manage like the counter economy on Valsar, and yeah. So I don't know why people would say that they're not good.
my only other big question for you is like, what advice would you give for people that find themselves in your situation. That is like the game goes to them. Savannah elves have already set up set up a position in the middle, and they're sort of forced to play on their own. As wayfarers, like you're stuck on your own side. You don't have a ton of momentum, um, and yeah, when you're on the back foot, how do you keep going forward and not just feel like the game is lost as wayfarers?
So the key there that you have to keep in mind is that you have to roll good dice. That's a key. So, but pretty much at that point in the game, it's going to become because there's going to be that constant exchange of trying to push forward. And really, it's going to be a thing of who rolls better, right? Like who gets the field. And if you lose the field, like I was in here, I was actually rolling pretty bad too. Like I was missing a lot of the few turns in which we had that exchange.
Yeah.
What you can do there really is try to incentivize the opponent to make a mistake of getting overconfident, maybe, and doing pretty much something like, for example, like what getting ready, first of all, in your hand for the pieces that you need for that like kill shot with having the coordinate and the slip by ready and having like the units that you know, like maybe for example in that last turn, the last turn that I had before you killed me, even if I had a unit that I could pull out, maybe an adventurer that would be relevant in that board with like the rhinos and the archer and all that, like maybe an option there would be to just hold it and try to put yourself in a position that's gonna have the opponent be comfortable, or try to like put themselves in a position like what happened here with Avua, right? That we saw that if I just had like the slip by and survive that, I would have been able to win the game, even though it was a game that seemed completely lost. So that's really what you can go for at that point. If you feel that the game is lost on the control of the board, the econ, like you see like, yeah, in this board, like I won't be able to get like my activations of this like the from the horizon, just hunt for that kill shot. So that's why it's important to at first get a couple hits on Abu, even if it's a single one, because as you saw, that's what gets you in the range of like a one turn kill.
Uh-huh.
And it's really easy for the opponent to make a mistake. Like unless you're dealing with like a very experienced player that knows the ins and outs of wayfarers and has played against them so many times that he's really prepared to block every single gap so that the slip by doesn't go by, it's really easy to forget like, oh yeah, like they can do a slip by through here and here and here and all that stuff. So it's easy to find a way to get the kill shot. So I would just say that, like, really just play for the kill shot, prepare your hand for that, discard in such a way that you're going for that. So you know that you need an adventurer or a Volvo, which is the one that allows you to extend a lot. Like the Voyager, usually it's goes in combination with the adventurer and Volvo to be able to do the two attacks on the same flank. And then the slip by is going to allow you to bring Celeste almost anywhere in the board once you have it with coordinate, combine it. So that's always the threat that wayfarers can present.
Interesting. Yeah, and we we went through like just how many ways they can get wherever on the board they want to. Um, I like to like hold out hope that like there's some like econ retreat and regroup sort of moves for these more aggressive factions. Like for Balzar, it feels like you want to get in there with Balzar and like threaten volcanic blast and something. But if Balzar like takes half his health, is the game just over? Like what sort of ways do you have to regroup? And Balzar tends to have them. Like Balzar tends to like be able to do something with champions or um I don't know. I like to like explore the ways in which aggro factions like aren't just throw all your units at a wall and see what happens. Can be like I think when we did our Balzar versus Fungal Dwarves game, like you you like took a turn and sort of waited, and then the right opportunity presented itself, and then you came in, or things like that. And so I've seen Wayfarers play with something similar. Like I think of a game like many months ago, like against Beans, where I was Fallen Kingdom, and like I thought it's just like, oh, like this will be easy, just a ton of infects and whatnot. But at some point, Beans just sort of backed off, and just like used like Baldo and some slip buys to just like not expose themselves at all, and then it's this weird sort of like keep away Wayfarer's game. And so I like it when aggro factions have those other nuances to these other strategies they can do.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's not
and
always there. Yeah,
exactly. It's hard to do. Like, it's definitely possible. Yeah, like if because you always have the chance of them like overextending some units unnecessarily or unprotected, like suddenly sending like a big lion and that's the only one, and you're happy to just like do your 3 attacks on the back from a safe spot
yeah,
and waiting them out that way, right? Like tempting them to keep coming, those type of things. But with SC, it's hard because all they really need is to have like a presence in the middle of the board so that they can set up a line there and they can really just keep ramping up boost, right? Like they don't really need to overcommit with their units. They're happy with just going and plugging your front gate spots and forcing you to be in an unfavorable position to try to like attack their units there. Like they don't really need to go further from that, right? Like if you try to fall back to your back two rows, like SC doesn't need to follow you really. They just need to keep blow up those gates and then just play the range game, which WF like it's not good at doing at that point, and they can win that way. But on the other side, like that's kind of where SC likes to be, like on the back. In this time, like when we say take the game kind of like in the middle of the board, like this doesn't mean that SC needs to be aggro because SC plays really well on the back, just biding their time. But the thing is, you don't want WF to get into your front gate spots and then just start establishing the game there, right? Like
yeah,
because if that is the case, things get really bad for them. So
yeah,
but when they have to huddle up on the back, it's not a bad position for SC. Like they play really well because they can hit really hard. On the back row, Avua, like when whoever gets into the back row, like he attacking for 5, like he can blow up almost any of the units of the opponent or be a threat of killing Celeste if there's another flank open. So yeah, SC can play really well that game too. If things don't go their way and suddenly they're on their face, they'll have to just do that, and they're able to do it in a decent way. I would say one of the things there is that if you find yourself in that situation with SC, try to make sure like the big threat is when they plant a forward gate, like next to your like, fourth row, third row type of thing, because at that point it doesn't matter if you keep killing those units, like they're going to be in your face nonstop, right? And so I would say if you have a chance of doing one of those like chant of entangling with a lion and the archer, like it's worth sending maybe the lion to blow up the gate instead of a dancer, right? Or something like that, so that you can at least see the have the chance of neutralizing the big threat, so that whenever you kill those last units, then it's hard for him to keep bringing like some of the big units all the way to the front.
yeah. Gotcha. Makes sense. Well, anything else? Anything else you want to go over or talk about before we call things here?
No, I think yeah, that's a good place to wrap up. Yeah, we've covered both factions. We've covered like the momentum of the game and all those type of things that can happen. And yeah, that leaves us just one more matchup for this season. So yeah, we might,
Yep,
if
yep.
we have a chance to play next week, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, and then that's season 20 gone, and we're 5 matchups deeper of like the hundreds of matchups that are now exist in this game that you can never keep on top of.
Yeah,
That's part of the
exactly.
fun of it. We finally finished in like under 2.5 hours, so there we go.
Yeah, exactly. Like under 2 hours. So that was great. This was a quick game for sure. But yeah, yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
everyone for watching, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you next time.
yeah. Okay. Catch everyone later. Bye bye.
Later. Bye.
And yeah, thanks. I'll hopefully we'll be back for the last one for season 20 later on. And again, yeah, we're gonna have a scuffle on Sunday night, um, which I will announce shortly in the chat. You can definitely Hear the rage Vexer is holding back. Good shot. Yep, and Beans and Eden. I'm curious how your game goes. Looks like some intense stuff is going on. Let me know what happens. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll catch you later. Bye.